Hello and welcome. This is Gray Hughes of Gray Hughes Investigates on YouTube. This channel evaluates all aspects of true crime. As you are aware, videos and live streams in this genre often discuss elements of crime that may be disturbing to some viewers. If necessary, take the precautions needed to avoid these feelings. Factual information related to cases is the key to fostering rational true crime discussions. Fortunately, you will find that here. Please hit the like button only once, share the video, and subscribe if you like my content. Thank you very much for watching.
Huh? It's a house!
There we go. Hey, what's going on? Oh, that was the Play-Doh one from earlier.
Here we go.
And there's Lori. Wow, look at all that noise. Oh, it looks like they're hitting the camera or something. Oh, they're right next to it. Anyways. Yeah, Clancy's a handful, I tell you, man. He attacked Benny yesterday. They were just fighting. And then Benny had sort of a sore eye, but then woke up, the eye was better. But then Benny always attacks Clancy too. I think they're just playing around like buddies. I kind of thought that's how liverwurst was spelled. But I didn't want to take the time to find the U with the two dots on top of it. Okay. Yeah. So those are. Anyways, a lot of people were saying, "Yeah, Gray, you should do the JonBenet Ramsey." I've seen documentaries and so forth over the years and whatnot, but so many people are covering it. But you know what? Maybe we'll take a look at it from the beginning. Just throw out everything in your mind that you already know, and then you just start at the beginning and go over all these newspaper articles that were going on in Boulder. I think if you get the ones that are going on locally there, you probably get a better sense of reality and what's going on. I didn't get every single one because literally every single day of, there was a new article about something. So I just kind of picked, throughout the months, starting on, I think the first article that I saw was December 28th. Didn't see even one on the 27th. It might have been worded differently, but I didn't see it. So that's what we're going to be doing. Hope you guys are interested. And thanks to Plato, Lori, and Cindy before the show. Not sure what happened, but there you go. Hey, and there's Brown-Eyed Girl. Maybe what I'll do tonight, I got to start doing the spin again. All right. So let's put Play-Doh up there a couple times. So every $5 you send in, you get a spin chance of a pie wedge. All right. And I'll throw Cindy in there just because she already put something in but didn't know yet. All right. And then we've got Brown-Eyed Girl right there. All right. We'll try this old school. All right. And if you send buy me a coffee, you also get 2 spins per 5 because they don't take as much out. They still take like 10 or 12%, which is way less than YouTube does. But yep, so we're gonna get started on that. Now there's a couple of later articles that I have that have good timelines. They go over autopsies and things like that. And then Plato sent me a bunch of old videos and documentaries from years and years ago on a Reddit link. So that was pretty cool. So well, I guess we'll just have to, go over it. I mean, of course, if there's something else that's coming up that needs coverage or something, we got to do that. But we'll just kind of do this in chunks over time. Yeah, it should be pretty interesting, I would think. Why not?
This will be interesting.
Thanks, Wendy Van Rokel. Or I'll turn off the Streamlabs thing now, you guys. Looking forward to a sensible analysis. Right, well, we're just going to kind of go over it and sort of figure out what was going on at the time and then come up with our own theories instead of just like the same rehash. I mean, it might turn out where it's the same rehash stuff over and over and over again. But at least it'll be like we'll try to come up with our own conclusions based on that. All right? All right, so I guess we'll get started. And if you do the buy me a coffee, you get 2 wedges for the spin. Oh, and also Lillian, PayPal, you get this, or well, it's like, what was it? 3, if you send in 10, you get 3. But Lillian just sent one in on PayPal, so we'll put that. She gets 3. All right. Newspaper. So we got a whole bunch, but they're always pretty long. So I think I have something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like, I don't know, 25 or 30 different newspaper articles. Crazy, huh?
Chewbacca? I'll do Chewbacca if you want me to.
Thank you, Alien Abduction. All right, let me turn off the...
parents covered, but I'm keeping an open mind.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has a different theory, it seems like, in this case. Like Colleen Fitzpatrick is certain that a woman wrote the note, and maybe it was. That's sort of does. I agree with what her analysis of why she thinks it's a female. The part that one of the things that I'm seeing in some of the one of the photographs is the knot on the garrote. That seems really tight, and like an adult would have had to make that. I have a hard time picturing a 9-year-old making a knot that well. So that's sort of, but I also think it would be weird if Patsy, Pat whatever the hell her name is. I don't really know all the characters that well, but if she made that, because it was just so, looked like a man made the knot on it. No, didn't look like a Boy Scout. Yeah. So, anyways, here we go. Man, this is it. How it went back in the day. This one's in San Francisco. I also have ones from Boulder, but I mean, it already made it a big story right out of the gate. December 28th. All right, so it says a 6-year-old girl last year's Little Miss Colorado was found strangled in the basement. So she was Little Colorado, Little Miss Colorado, the year before, was found strangled in the basement of her home hours after her mother discovered a ransom note that said she had been kidnapped. So everything was not like the ransom note, all that stuff was known early. Isn't that weird, you guys? Like, it seems strange. Like, in today's crime, you wouldn't know that there was a ransom note left. I can tell you, I guarantee it. Yeah. So, yeah, it just, you wouldn't know anything about that. You wouldn't know anything else about the crime scene for a while. Especially the note, though. That would be something that, like, you'd want to keep that private. But man, we're talking first articles out, already knew about it. Police were attempting to comply with the note instructions when a family member found JonBenet Ramsey's body, which had been concealed. So it's pretty interesting. Like, these first articles are really close to, just like the general information that you. Thank you, Snarky Cinderella. That's out there, right? So it says, when a family member found JonBenet's body, which had been concealed, John Eller, commander of the Police Detective Division, said the ransom note demanded money and indicated there would be further instructions. No suspects had been identified, and Eller revealed few other details about the investigation. The girl's body was found Thursday, and autopsy Friday found she had been strangled. I mean, that's amazing, right? Like, they've got all of this information already in the paper, and they had just found her body 2 days prior to that. Because this is a Saturday article, and her body was found Thursday. JonBenet's parents and their 10-year-old son, who also lives in the home, were taken to an undisclosed location where police officers remained with them for security purposes. It's still a rather delicate and sensitive investigation, and we want to preserve as much of our potential evidence as we can, Eller said. This was a beautiful young girl. The parents are going to go through a tremendous grieving process. JonBenet was the daughter of John and Patricia Patsy Ramsey. Her father is president of Access Graphics, a subsidiary of Lockheed Martin Corporation. Police said there was no indication the slaying was linked to the father's employment. Patricia Ramsey, what did that say? I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you can rule that quickly out when the bonus amount apparently is the same. Maybe they didn't know that at the time. Patricia Ramsey called police early Thursday after she discovered a ransom note in her home. So they called police, right, because there's a ransom note. And obviously, JonBenet isn't in her bedroom at the time, so they're freaking out, and they call police. About 7 hours after police and FBI agents began a kidnapping investigation. See, they probably just assumed and really didn't do a great search of the home because there's this ransom note and JonBenet appears to be missing. So at the time, they're just thinking, oh, wow, let's look into, complying with these demands to try to get her back. They didn't really do like the basic thing right off the bat would be to search the home, right? And look in every single nook and cranny. They conducted a thorough search of the home. They say that, right? And the family member, okay, so it says about 7 hours after police and FBI agents began a kidnapping investigation, they conducted a thorough search of the home. So it took them 7 hours before going, hey, let's go look through the home. And then a family member found the child's body. And I guess that was apparently the father. On Friday, investigators looked for footprints and other clues around the house, which is in a close-knit upscale neighborhood of this city about 30 miles north of Denver. And that's another thing too. It's like such a compact area. Like if you look at this, how dense it is, and this is the house right here. And so it seems like a crazy place to just kind of pull up and sneak into a house and take a girl out of her bed, and I don't know, just odd. It's not out in the middle of nowhere. It's in a really busy, packed filled of homes, and people could have been out and about. I mean, I guess if it's 3 a.m, it's not a lot of people around. Okay. Hey, all right, it's a Tudor house, Strawberry Rain chimed in with. All right. Christmas decorations, including red and white plastic candy canes, stood in patches of snow on the front yard. Yeah, so they called the police after finding the ransom note. On Friday, investigators looked for footprints and other clues around the house, which is in the close-knit upscale neighborhood. Christmas decorations, including red and white plastic candy canes, stood in patches of snow on the front yard. Yeah, a little too much strawberry rain, a little too much. An elementary school student, JonBenet, was a precocious, engaging child, family friends said. Lori Wagner, a vice president at Access Graphics, said JonBenet often played around her father's office. She was a charming girl and adorable child, Wagner said. Everyone is concerned for the family. All right, so that was the first article. Then this one's out of, I start using a different source later. I probably could have used more at the beginning. But this one is out of, this is a Colorado newspaper, I believe. Doesn't have as good of pictures, but. So, coroner reports Boulder girl 6 was strangled. So they're already talking about how she was killed and everything, literally within 3 days. Police said Friday they had no suspects in the strangling death of 6-year-old JonBenet Ramsey, whose body was found Thursday morning in the basement of her parents' University Hill Tudor home. I'm just kidding. It doesn't say that. It was found Thursday morning in the basement of her parents' University Hill home after a ransom note was left in the kitchen. The Boulder County coroner, who reported the cause of death Friday, refused to say what time the daughter of Access Graphic President John Ramsey and former Miss West Virginia Patsy Ramsey died or how she was strangled. Police had not ruled out anyone as a suspect in the slaying, including family members. It's still a very delicate and sensitive issue, said John Eller, the commander in charge of Boulder Police Detective Division. Kidnapping wasn't ruled out by police, but let's see. Kidnapping wasn't ruled out by police, but they wouldn't confirm a kidnapping occurred either. Police worked through the night, Thursday and Friday, searching for evidence at the Ramsey house at 755 15th Street. They shared a few new details about the murder and Friday morning news conference. Shortly before dawn Thursday, a woman identifying herself as Patsy Ramsey called police reporting that JonBenet had been kidnapped. You know, so we've actually seen those press conferences. Or not the press conference. Well, there's press conferences out there. We've heard the 911 call recently. I'd like to have like a really good version of it though, you know, where it's just absolutely, you know, it seems like everybody keeps analyzing and then somebody analyzes, somebody's analyzing, and then somebody analyzes, that guy's analyzing. And by the time you're done, it sounds nothing like it's like, right, because you've applied, you know, you've compressed it yourself, you've done this, then you took that one and you did that. Where's the original one? You know, that's the one I want to listen to. All right. Thanks, Bridget Balbin. Yeah, that's why I'm going back to 1996, reading this. We're starting over again. Shortly before dawn Thursday, a woman identifying herself as Patsy Ramsey called police reporting that JonBenet had been kidnapped. The kidnapper, she said, left a ransom note. Police, along with the FBI, arrived in the upper-class neighborhood near the University of Colorado early Thursday morning. They entered the Ramsey house, a 3-story brick mansion, Tudor style. I keep saying that over and over again. Let's see. Yeah, they entered the Ramsey house, a 3-story brick mansion, the yard decorated with giant candy canes, and a stuffed Santa to investigate. They did not immediately search the house because we had no reason to believe the child was there at the time, Eller said. All right, so then it goes on to It's on the next page here. But then there's also, I guess we don't need to read that part right there. Let's read this little synopsis over here, though. It said, Christmas night, JonBenet Ramsey is last seen alive at her usual bedtime. At 5:22 a.m. Thursday, police received a 911 call. That's pretty early, too, isn't it? Like, let me find that just sort of a little weird. Like, I don't know. 5:22, you're walking around and finding ransom notes on a, the day after Christmas. Wouldn't you sleep in a little bit, maybe? Or, well, not necessarily, Gray. You see, because I have these. Okay, well, I think it's a little strange. 5:22, police receive a 911 call apparently from Patsy Ramsey saying JonBenet had been kidnapped. The caller said the kidnapper left a ransom note. I mean, why wouldn't you say? See, it's weird how that's written too, right? It says police receive a 911 call apparently from Patsy Ramsey. And then it says the caller said. So maybe they're a little suspicious or something of it. I don't know. Shortly after the Thursday morning call, police and the FBI agents arrive at the Ramsey house and arrange to comply with the demands in the note. Between 1:30 and 2 p.m. Thursday, a family member finds JonBenet's body in the basement of the house. That was, I guess, the father. And then later Thursday afternoon, police obtained the necessary search warrants to re-enter the house for a homicide investigation. Hey, look at that. David Arnold, 45 months. All right. At about 9 p.m. Thursday, police re-enter the Ramsey house. They investigate the house through midnight. Friday morning, the Boulder County Coroner begins an autopsy on JonBenet. The office determines she was strangled to death. Friday, police continue to search the house Friday night. As of press time, they had no suspects in the murder. All right, so I'm not going to read that one, but this one here, I'm going to. So that would be on, oh, that's the next page. I got it right here. So that's what the friends recall of her. You guys don't really want to go over that kind of stuff right now, do you? JonBenet would occasionally arrive at the office and take her father out to lunch with her family. She was a charming little girl. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like she was a nice kid. All right, so this says, investigators examined the ransom note and began to help the Ramseys comply with its conditions. The ransom note was atypical, if there is such a thing, kidnapping ransom note. The kind you'd find in any movie, Eller said. So they think it was typical. It demands an undisclosed amount of money. What do you mean an undisclosed amount of money? That actually had an amount. Right? Doesn't it have an amount in here? So this is the full ransom note here. Let's just try to read it. Listen carefully. We leave. God, I don't know, man. We a clap of individual. We are a group, something like, of individuals that. Well, there's actually people that have already broken it down, but it does have a number right there. Look at that, 118,000. But in the article it says an undisclosed. Maybe they're saying that the law enforcement hasn't disclosed it to the writer, right? Yeah, I'm just gonna I'll just try to figure it out on my own later. I don't have the deciphered version of it. I just have the notes. But they think it was a typical ransom letter. It demanded an undisclosed amount of money in exchange for JonBenet, Eller said. He would not comment further on the note's content, but broadcast media reported that the ransom amount was $118,000. Well, there you go. Between 1:30 and 2 p.m., the girl's body... Wasn't that amazing, you guys? How does that piece of information... Do you think in the Delphi case that $118,000 figure would ever have made it out to the public? I mean, my God. Maybe years later, but that's just incredible that something like that, the amount is put out there so fast. We're talking about, this is from the 28th. 26th her body was found. 28th, they got the ransom numbers in the paper. Between 1:30 and 2 p.m., the girl's body was discovered in the basement by a family member whom police refused to name. Eller would not say that JonBenet was wearing, or would not say what JonBenet was wearing, whether her body had been hidden or left in the open, or what condition the body was found. However, it was clear JonBenet, the 1995 Little Miss Colorado, had been murdered. The death was obviously the result of a criminal act, Eller said. Late Thursday, police secured a warrant to search the family home and grounds. Throughout the day, Friday, investigators continue to photograph items at the scene, including footprints in the yard, and gather evidence. Police officers entered and exited the house, discussed evidence with lead investigators, or disappeared into the silver crime scene van parked by the mailbox. Yellow police tape circled the house, and a wall of police cars stood in front of the home. Family members had not been questioned in depth as of midday Friday. By late Friday night, police officials said they still had not narrowed the field of potential suspects. The family was staying at the house of a friend under police supervision. For security reasons, Eller said, he declined to reveal the address or names of the friends. Neighbors said the Ramseys entertained often. They had 3 separate Christmas parties in December. People were often seen coming and going from their house. I mean, that's sort of interesting, right? You have these 3 Christmas parties. I'm not sure if that's one of the elements that are discussed all the time, but that might be something that you don't hear very often. That they had 3 parties, and these are all people that maybe work with him. Maybe somebody knew about the $118,000. I mean, that piece of information, it's either somebody that knew him, or it's somebody right there in the house. That's the thing. That's what that proves. But they had 3 separate Christmas parties in December. People were often seen coming and going from their house. That's pretty interesting, right? Hey, thank you, Jenny, in the... let's see, and the summer day. Yep. All right. Many people may have had keys to the house, including caretakers, a house cleaner, gardeners, and landscapers, said Joe Barn. Man, that's interesting, because any one of them could overhear, oh, I got 118,000 bonus, Who lives across the street and takes care of JonBenet's dog. Barnhill, like other neighbors, didn't remember seeing anything suspicious at the Ramsey house Christmas Day, the day before JonBenet was murdered. I didn't see a lot of people over there Christmas Day, said Barnhill, who had hidden until Christmas Eve the bicycle JonBenet's father had bought his daughter. I didn't see JonBenet with her bike, but I did see her 10-year-old brother, Burke, ride his bike down the lawn there. Barnhill also said he saw John Ramsey's son from a previous marriage, a student at Colorado University, come to the house. Police investigators, many called in from vacations, will pursue the case without pause through the weekend, said Detective Sergeant Larry Mason. This was a beautiful little girl, as you can see, very vibrant, and from what we can tell, very precocious. All right. Whatever the hell that means. All right. Yeah, so we got the thing going here. If you get the, if you send in a, $5 or more of super chats, you get on this wheel where we spin it at the end. We used to do this all the time, but we'll try it again. And we spin the wheel, and you can win like a mug or something. Maybe the We Are Freaks mug or the any of them really. I guess I'll just pick one. And look at that, we got a couple buy me a coffees. Toxic Tink. There we go. Get a couple spins there. And we got. I like doing these as they come in. That way I don't have to try to do it all at the end when we're just kind of wrapping things up. So Linda Howe, Toxic Tink, and Norm. All right. Norm! All right, there you go. So now we're on to the 29th. Another newspapers.com article. No suspects yet in the murder of 6-year-old. Investigators continue to search for clues Saturday in the strangulation of 6-year-old JonBenet Ramsey, but they still have not identified a suspect. 45 minutes. All right, thanks, Rhea Mazaron. Police spokesman Leslie, something like Aholm, said about 30 officers have been assigned to the case, which currently is confined to the Ramsey home where JonBenet was found Thursday afternoon. We anticipate it will be at least until Monday morning to complete a thorough search of house, she said, or Aholm said. JonBenet, a former Little Miss Colorado, was found dead in the basement about 8 hours after her mother, Patricia Patsy Ramsey, called police to report her daughter missing. That's just, it's so weird, man. It's that you gotta admit, like, it's just so weird to you're calling, you see a ransom note, you call, and the person who wrote the ransom note never even made it out of the house with her and killed her before ever even getting the ransom. I mean, look at it was going to work, for God's sakes. The FBI was arranging to put the ransom note together. Let's see. Police also found a ransom note and were making plans to deal with potential demands when they found JonBenet during a more thorough search of the 15-room house. Mrs. Ramsey, her husband John Ramsey, and their 10-year-old son have been placed under protective custody. Nobody's in, nobody's out. Boulder County Coroner John Myers said JonBenet was strangled sometime after being put to bed Christmas night. So it could have been on Christmas then, right? Although, maybe not, because I guess we haven't got to those parts yet. Keep your head up, Gray. We love your lives, and you do amazing job. Hey, Happy New Year. Thanks. Yeah, some days I just feel kind of, like YouTube's doing their purge right now, where they do this every year at some point, where they go through and they start removing accounts that don't exist anymore or something like that, and it just sort of sucks, like your numbers drop. But well, they did it last year, they did it the year before, they're doing it this year. I just have so many subs that I got this last year, like 40 something thousand. Pretty good for me anyways. The murder is the first this year in Boulder, a city of 83,000. Miss Ramsey is a former Miss West Virginia, and Mr. Ramsey is the president of Access Graphics. Access Graphic employs 380 people in Boulder. Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Like, the mom is Miss West Virginia, then JonBenet becomes, like, Miss Girl Colorado, whatever the hell it was. I mean, and then the dad has this really great job, so it seems like this perfect family, right? That's what it seems like. Alright, so there we go. Get rid of that. Now we're on to the 30th. I mean, it's just crazy. One thing I remember at the time, I remember thinking, man, why do people dress up girls, little kids like that, to look like they're these adults? It's like the pedophile's dream, just absolute ridiculous. So I'm not a big fan of the little beauty pageants for the 6-year-olds. I think it's weird. I don't know, Gray, my kid. Okay, well, I'm just saying that's my opinion. I'm not making a judgment of you. I'm just saying I think it's weird as hell, to be honest with you. Slain child's body taken to Atlanta. Family members of a slain 6-year-old beauty queen were allowed Sunday to accompany the girl's body to Atlanta for burial. JonBenet Ramsey's strangled body was discovered the morning of after Christmas in the basement of the family's 15-room home, about 8 hours after a ransom note was found. The parents moved from Atlanta to Boulder in 1991. Hey, thanks, Naomi. Love your show. Thanks for all you do. All right. Well, I appreciate it. Okay, now we're going to the 31st. And there's so many different articles. I'm just picking sort of, it's just hard to know which one is about what. But I think I got most of the main things. Police reassure public as slaying probe continues. Authorities dodged questions Monday on their investigation into the slaying of a 6-year-old girl, first reported kidnapped and later found slain in the basement of her home. But they tried to reassure the public they're in no danger from a killer on the loose. City spokeswoman Leslie Ahom said there are police in the area and there's no need for concern. Press further. I think it's always weird when somebody says, hey, there's no need for concern when you don't know who the killer is. Pressured further by reporters, she said, I'm not going to confirm or deny whether anyone is still out there. Jeez. You're not going to do that, but you'll say that there was $118,000 on the ransom note. That's pretty selective. Police said they have not detained anyone, nor have they identified any suspects in the death of JonBenet Ramsey. So why can't your spokesperson say that exact same sentence? The little girl's body was found Thursday in the basement of the family's 15-room Tudor-style home. Look at that. Holy crap, it actually says it now. Where did she go? We got to do some cheering now to Strawberry Rain. About 8 hours after she was reported kidnapped. Police refused to say who discovered the body, who was home at the time the girl was reported missing, or released details about a ransom note. There she is, Strawberry Rain. She wins the award. Whatever the hell that is. Police earlier said the note was atypical. I guess what they're saying, when atypical means not typical, but that's not what they're saying. They're saying was atypical, if there's such a thing, kidnapping ransom note, the kind you'd find in any movie. The ransom note demanded money and indicated there would be further instructions. Police said they were attempting to comply with the note's instructions when the girl's body was found. The girl's father, John Ramsey, is president of Access Graphics, one of Boulder's largest companies. Boulder County Coroner John Myers said the girl was strangled, but no other details of her autopsy have been released. At a news conference Monday, Ahom dodged questions about why it took police so long to find the body, why the parents weren't questioned after the body was found, why police refused to release a police report, and why a search warrant and the coroner's report were being kept secret. Police said the family was grief-stricken and they held off questioning them out of concern for their emotional state. And by the way, if you buy memberships for people, each membership you buy is also another spin. Okay, so if you get 5 memberships, you get 5 pie wedges. It's all the same. All right, so we're currently at 0 new channel members tonight. Not good. All right, so this is January 1st, so just literally like 5 days later. You'd like to thank God for your That's pretty good. All right. All right, there you go. There's a blank slate. There's a spin. The wealthy dad of a 6-year-old Colorado beauty queen strangled in her home Christmas night has hired a criminal defense lawyer and reportedly quit talking to cops. So that's, really quickly, but he probably could see that they were kind of asking him specific kinds of questions that made him nervous. And actually, it's not like, it doesn't make somebody seem more guilty if you're rational. Like if they go, oh God, they get a criminal defense attorney, because that's what everybody should be doing. If you get brought into an interrogation room to ask questions about a crime that you were anywhere near or seen, you should probably have an attorney with you every single time, because they might start asking questions, and if you say the wrong thing at the wrong time, all of a sudden they start putting you on a list of, and then things start going downhill sometimes. Yeah. So John Ramsey, head of a $1 billion Boulder computer company and an amateur pilot, was allowed to fly his own plane to Atlanta, where his daughter was buried yesterday. The body of JonBenet Ramsey, 1995's Little Miss Colorado, and this year's American Royal Miss, was found by her father hidden in the basement of her. Now they have the name. It's the father, found her hidden in the basement of her spacious home the afternoon of December 26th. Her mother, Patsy, so it must have been the afternoon. So 5 something in the morning, the mother saw the ransom note, and then police came over, and then 7 hours after that, they found her body. Her mother, Patsy, 1977's Miss West Virginia, had called police at 6 a.m. that day to report receiving a ransom note. I thought she found it at like 5. That doesn't really match. Isn't it in this one? Hold on. At 5:22 a.m., police receive a 911 call. So that's a really specific number. I don't think 6 o'clock is accurate in this one. Right? 5:22 sounds like, well, they didn't round anything up. That's way off. It's not even close. They should have said around 5 if they're going to round it off. Police would not call the father a suspect, but tellingly, they said the public is in no danger from a killer on the loose. So that was a signal to the press, like, oh, so they think the killer is one of the family members. They're not out on the loose. There's no need for concern, said city spokeswoman Leslie Ahom. There were no signs of forced entry into the house, police said. known to be home at the time of the murder, were JonBenet's parents, John and Patsy Ramsey, and her brother Burke, 9. The little girl's 20-year-old stepbrother was away at college, police said. Brian Morgan, a prominent Denver defense attorney hired by Ramsey, refused to discuss the case yesterday. He told the Rocky Mountain News that Ramsey hired him because the district attorney has refused to rule anyone out as a suspect. Early in the case, police described Ramsey as cooperative, but the Rocky Mountain News quoted police sources yesterday saying that he has stopped talking to detectives. Police said neither parent had been formally interviewed out of respect for their loss. Little JonBenet was laid to rest yesterday in Atlanta, where she was born. A white teddy bear sat propped next to her coffin at Peachtree Presbyterian Church as 150 people mourned the precocious blonde charmer. I got it. The hell does that mean? Having developed certain abilities at an early age that usually like early development, like she acts older than she is. I don't know. Is that good? Like you're dressing her up like she's an adult, and then you try to make her act like she's one too. Not really a big fan of that. I remember saying the same thing back then. But hey, guys, so if you're out there and you want to help support the channel, we're back to the spins now. If you do $5 or $10 or $20, you get a different pie wedge, I guess you could call it, for each $5. So if you do 20, you get 4 different choices. I guess not really choices. It's like a pie wedge. It's the thing that spins around, but you get 4 wedges instead of 1. And then also the same thing with the channel memberships. And it helps support the channel. So that's what we're trying to accomplish on a nightly basis over here. And then tomorrow night's our big donation night. I know it's New Year's Eve, so I don't know how many people are going to be there or whatever, but hopefully there's enough here. Yeah. JonBenet's parents sat in the first pew. Her mother's face was hidden by a black veil, and she leaned against her husband for comfort as he put his arm around her. The heart refuses to accept the death of one so young who was suddenly taken from us by cruelty and malice by some unworthy person or persons, the Reverend W. Frank Harrington said in his eulogy. And I guess that's her there. Was that this one? I think that was this one, right? Yeah. Yeah, so this is when they went on TV. I guess they were on with like Anderson Cooper. You know what's weird about Anderson Cooper? Is he looks the same like forever. He's like a robot or something. You got that white hair and just everything looks the same. Nothing changes. Well, I know that he was on. He did do something on CNN, but I don't know. He looks like an android of some sort. You know what? But let's just try to go over it fresh here instead of saying what you thought you heard somebody say before. Because every time you do that, then people start getting off track of what they're, I guess, we're all doing that, but I'm trying to make it so that you just try to pretend that you're hearing all this for the first time and putting it together. Because when you start going, oh, I heard this on this one show, this one guy said, and then it's like, okay, well, we didn't hear that because we're just reading it right here. There's is that today? Oh, we got some more. Got Brown-Eyed Girl on the Buy Me a Coffee. Gotta add those in there. Then we've got somebody, Cindy B. Not Cindy J. And then we've got also Lisa Valenzuela. All right. That you're doing a great job. I'm having to work at it. It keeps erasing things. Well, good job at what? I'm trying to keep it to the current convo, but having a hard time. Yeah. Anyways, parents of murdered 6-year-old warn public of killer. Some people didn't like this interview, like they shouldn't have done it. They think that she was on drugs or like some sort of tranquilizer. The parents of a slain 6-year-old beauty queen warned Boulder residents on Wednesday that there's someone out there and to be careful for their children. There is a killer on the loose, Patricia Ramsey, JonBenet Ramsey's mother, told CNN from Atlanta in a televised interview. I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's a he or a she, but if I were a resident of Boulder, I would tell my friends to keep your babies close to you. There's someone out there, she whispered, her voice cracking. The parents said during the interview that the family will hire lawyers for counsel, private investigators to help police, and will offer anything else that would help. Whatever they want, whatever anyone wants, we will cooperate, Patricia Ramsey said. The child's body was found in the basement of the family's expensive Boulder home about 8 hours after the mother found a ransom note last Thursday. The parents said they had nothing to do with the death and couldn't believe their family and friends could. Believe that? Let's see. The parents said they have nothing to do with the death and they don't think any of their friends could have done it. Our family is a loving family, a gentle family, John B. Ramsey said. Patricia Ramsey told CNN about finding the note. It's 3 pages placed across one of the steps in the home. 3 pages. What's the 3rd page? I've only seen 2 of them. It was addressed to John. It said, Mr. Ramsey. And it said, we have your daughter, and it just wasn't registering. I don't know if I got any further, and I ran upstairs, she said. John Ramsey said the note warned them not to call police, but after they checked their daughter's room and their son's room, they did. We were just frantic, and I dialed the police 911, and she was trying to calm me down, and I said my child had been kidnapped, and she was trying to ask questions methodically, and I'm just screaming, send help, Patricia Ramsey said. John Ramsey said police asked him to search the house. We had one room in the basement that when I opened the door, there were no windows in the room, and I turned the light on, and it was her, he said. I hoped that she was okay, but I could tell that she probably wasn't. I screamed and yelled upstairs. So he was alone when he found her, right? Like there wasn't somebody walking next to him. All right, you guys, we're having one of those massive lulls again. One of those massive lulls. We were doing so well at the beginning, and we're having a lull now. So let's try to get to the goal tonight. All right, so it says, slain girl savaged, a report said. The former Little Miss Colorado, this is on the 4th of January. The former Little Miss Colorado, killed in her posh home Christmas night, was dealt a severe blow to the head, sexually abused and garroted. So now all of that's out there. A Denver newspaper reports today. JonBenet Ramsey's skull was badly fractured before she was strangled with a cord fitted with a stick, sources close to the case told the Rocky Mountain News. The 6-year-old girl's parents returned home to Boulder, Colorado from Atlanta yesterday, but still had not formally been interviewed by detectives who want to ask them about the slaying. As detectives haggled with lawyers for John and Patsy Ramsey trying to set up a meeting, officials said the killing was an inside job. Boulder Mayor Leslie Durgan said the public should not fear a murderer wandering the streets, directly contradicting the Ramseys, who said there's a killer on the loose. So see how that's making the comments that the police are making are, sort of implying that the killers are inside the house, you see. I don't care, CJK. I'm just doing it myself. You know what I mean? Thanks, Cindy. Listening intently. Okay. Yeah. Never heard of them. Don't care either. This was just a random act. And see, the thing is, I watch interviews or something like that and documentaries, but I don't watch other YouTubers or anybody that does live streaming, because I can think equally or better than any of them. Okay, I just think through cases differently, and there's people out there, they just regurgitate the same shit over and over and over again. I'm trying to find something different, and I'm not going to find something different if I'm watching somebody else's thoughts on it, because then I'll start thinking like them. I don't know this case hardly at all. I know that there's a ransom note, I know the garroting and things like that. And that's the way I want to do it. I don't want to do it where I'm sitting there watching Joe Blow's podcast on it, because I don't want to have his thoughts, because as soon as I read a thought or listen to a thought that they have, then that pops into my head. I don't want to do that. All right? So you don't need to tell me, hey, so-and-so did this, and I just don't give a shit, okay? I'm just letting you know. Don't care, don't want to hear about it, don't want to hear anything about it, don't want to hear anything in it. That's why I'm doing this. If you want me to go watch these other people, I'm not going to be doing this. All right, let's just do what we do here and try to sort of look at it the way we do it. All right, instead of the same crap that these other people do over and over and over again. Anyway, so it sounds like the detectives are trying to set up an interview. Boulder Mayor Leslie Durgan said the public should not be fear. And see, this is what's creating the problem, because the parents said you should be scared of somebody out there, because they're trying to convince the people that they didn't do it. So there obviously is a killer on the loose that might do this to another kid. And the police are saying, hey, don't worry, everybody, because they must think inside that it's somebody inside the home that did it, and the public can't worry about it. But we know that isn't really what the police mean all the time. Because like in the Delphi case, the Tobe Lesenby, he said, yeah, just go on your normal day, and then Kim Riley, just nothing to worry about, everybody. And then Kim Riley said, well, I would be vigilant with your kids, make sure you know where they're at all times, because we haven't arrested anybody yet. Right? So some people just say stupid crap like that. I don't know if that's their official position or what. Right, I know, Plato. I'm trying to explain it here myself. This was just a random act, Durgan said. There were no visible signs of forced entry, and it appears someone may have known the home well. On CNN on Wednesday, the Ramsey denied any involvement in the killing of, JonBenet, whose body was found in their basement December 26th by the father. Hours earlier, her mother had found 3 pages. So I haven't seen all 3 pages of those, you guys. I've seen 2 pages. Have you guys seen the third? I mean, there's the two common ones that you see all the time. Back in Boulder, after burying their daughter Tuesday in their former hometown of Atlanta, the Ramseys did not return to their 15-room Tudor house. Yeah, definitely. The cop, the newspapers and the police department was trying to make people believe that the killers are inside the house. That's what I was saying, just by reading these. Yeah, Lesenby was just dumb. I don't know why he said that. It was so stupid. Yeah, every time I heard it, I was just, what? What are you talking about? Don't be scared. There was 2 girls that were just killed, and you don't have anybody arrested yet. We have not confirmed a time to speak with the Ramseys, said police spokeswoman Leslie Aholm. In Roswell, Georgia, Boulder detectives spent 4 hours interviewing Patsy Ramsey's parents, with whom the Ramseys recently stayed. Meanwhile, yesterday, a leading crime expert not involved in the case said he was surprised that the parents had not yet been interviewed. The police always have to look at the family. It's absolutely essential, said former FBI agent Robert Ressler, who pioneered the science of criminal profiling and wrote the definitive book, Whoever Fights Monsters. The discovery of a ransom note shows the crime scene was carefully staged by someone close to the child, Ressler said. It looks like an attempt to deflect guilt, he said. Yeah, but you guys were just absolutely collapsed in the... You guys don't want to do the spin at the end of the show? Because we haven't moved for like 30 minutes. Guess I should have covered one of the big ones again, Oh, man. It's frozen at 50% right now. We've been there for the last half hour. Detectives prepare to question parents. So here we go. Police completed the search of a posh home where a 6-year-old beauty queen was found strangled and prepared to interview the parents, who have not spoken to investigators since their daughter's body was found the day after Christmas. It is simply a matter of scheduling. We are in the process of getting those interviews set up, Boulder police spokesman Kelvin McNeil said Sunday. Right, it's just not, it's another, we're sort of struggling again though, Rachel B., so I'm not sure. It started off good, He would not say whether John and Patricia Ramsey had returned to the 15-room Tudor-style home that has been a crime scene surrounded by yellow police tape since JonBenét's body was found December 26. We have no comment on the whereabouts of the family, Mr. McNeil said. We are in the process of getting interviews set up. We expect the family to continue being cooperative. Meanwhile, police are following many avenues in their investigation, including sorting through the mountain of physical evidence recovered during the 10-day search of the home that was completed Saturday. Detectives who traveled to Georgia, where the family lived until 1991, were expected to return to Boulder by late Monday, Mr. McNeil said. Sergeant Larry Mason, one of the investigators in Roswell, Georgia, said the team had talked with business associates, past business partners, and immediate family, including the little girl's grandparents. Right. I'm trying to find cases that people are interested enough in and also are supporting the channel at the same time, and it just doesn't seem like we're able to find those anymore. Meanwhile, police are following many avenues. We did that, okay. Sergeant Larry Mason, one of the investigators in Roswell, Georgia, said the team had talked with business associates. JonBenet last year, Little Miss, Colorado, was found dead in the family's basement hours after her mother discovered a 3-page ransom note promising the girl's safe return in exchange for $118,000 in cash. During the weekend, Denver newspaper reported JonBenét's skull had been fractured and she was sexually assaulted before the killer tightened a cord around her neck until she died. Reports have also said the burglar alarm at the family's home in Boulder, exclusive Chautauqua neighborhood, was turned off on the night of the killing. The 3-page ransom note appears to have been torn from a pad of paper that was already in the Ramsey house. Yeah, I mean, that's just wild. So the killer goes into the house, and they didn't prepare the ransom note before they went. They go in the house, and then was there multiple people? That's what's kind of weird. Or did they already kill? So pretend that the parents are not involved, right? Okay, just pretend that. So the person goes into the house, and it would seem like it would be more likely that they already killed JonBenet, or you'd have to have a second person controlling her, or you came in knowing that she's still asleep and it's really quiet, and you're going to write this ransom note before you actually physically take JonBenet out of her room. Then so you write the note, then you go take her out of her room, then you walk downstairs to the basement to get her out, because that's how you came in. And man, you just couldn't fit this little tiny girl outside the window. So you just strangle her and kill her and leave. Bash her over the head and leave. And you just give up on your entire ransom that you were trying to get. I don't know, man. Does that make any sense? This seems so unlikely. But hey, how do we get the support up in here for tonight, you guys? How do we do it? We're doing the spin with the pie. We can only do it if we reach the goal. That's the only way the spin happens, If we don't reach the goal, then we can't do the spin, because then it's just a loss to the channel. So that's how we've always played it. So we're only at 50% currently. Let's see, it's a fair majority of those who see in chat. Hard to tell how many are watching and not chatting. I don't know. Just trying to get the ball rolling, you guys. Just trying to get the ball rolling. And then here we go again. Oh wow, so there's a whole nother page. Let me get this. Hold on a second. Save image as. Yeah. I guess there are 3 pages. That's wild. Maybe it is. Let me look at the first one that I got. Oh, is that connected together? Hold on. Listen. Okay, that's on there. Money and you will. Yeah, this one looks like it has that, although it's weird. How come that doesn't even look the same? I don't get it. Doesn't even look like the same writing. I mean, what is this shit here? Is this the real one, or is this somebody goofing around making it? Because that doesn't look the same. See? You withdraw 118. You withdraw. What is this right here? You've never seen this one? Yeah, I mean, this is the one that I've seen online in many places. But that doesn't look like... Right. So this is the original right there? That looks just... I don't know. That doesn't look like a copy at all. It doesn't look anything like it. Or is this how... Let me go read what that was from. Hold on. A rambling 3-page ransom note discovered before the girl was found dead is seen as the key to helping solve the mystery. I don't know. Let me just read this one. Listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction. We respect your business, but not the country that it serves. At this time, we have your daughter in our possession. She is safe and unharmed, and if you want her to see 1997, you must follow our instructions to the letter. You will withdraw $118,000 from your account. $100,000 will be in what is that? $100 bills, and the remaining $18,000 in $20 bills. Make sure that you bring an adequate size attaché to the bank where you, when you get home, you will put the money in a brown paper bag. I will call you between 8 and 10 a.m. tomorrow to instruct you on the delivery. The delivery will be exhausting, so I advise you to be rested. I mean, what a weird comment. If we monitor you getting the money early, we might call you early to arrange an earlier delivery. So if we watch you getting the money earlier, we're going to arrange for you to... Just such a strange... If we monitor you getting the money early, we might call you early to arrange an earlier delivery of the money and hence an earlier pickup of your daughter. So, hey, if you get it earlier, you know, we'll give you a bonus. We can get your daughter earlier. I mean, just so weird. And by the way, how would somebody monitor you getting the money earlier? How would you know that? So I advise you to be rested. If we monitor you getting the money early, we might call you early to arrange an early delivery of the money. Yeah, well, apparently that's what his bonus was, Richard Watts. My deviation picked up of your daughter. Any deviation of my instructions will result in the immediate execution of your daughter. But wouldn't getting the money early be that? But you're willing to... Yeah. You will also be denied her remains for proper burial. The two gentlemen watching over your daughter do not particularly like you, so I advise you not to provoke them. Speaking to anyone about your situation, such as police, FBI, etc., will result in your daughter being beheaded. And that's such a absurdly over-the-top comment. If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies. Right. So you get the money early and it's okay. Well, yeah, but if he's talked to a stray dog, she dies. If you alert a bank authorities, she dies. Well, how would you know that? I wonder if it's there's somebody at the bank. You know, that's kind of interesting. How would they monitor her getting the money early? If you alert a bank authority, she dies. If the money is in any way marked or tampered with, she dies. You will be scanned for electronic devices, and if any are found, she dies. You can try to deceive us, but be warned that we are familiar with law enforcement countermeasures and tactics. You stand a 99% chance of killing your daughter if you try to outsmart us. Follow our instructions. Hey, thanks, Karen. Yes, and you too. If you're out there and you want to help support the Gray Hughes Investigates YouTube channel, I would appreciate it. We're just kind of limping into the end of the month here. Thank you, Karen. Get you in there. Your daughter, if you try to outsmart her. I tried to make a video today, too. I don't know if you guys saw it. All of Doug Carter's interviews over the years, and nobody watched it. So it's another fail for trying to generate other sources of income. I'm trying to do it, but it's just not working. Young white male. Yeah, who knows, TLV1? Who cares? Let's see. Killing your daughter and try to outsmart us. Follow our instructions and you stand a 100% chance of getting her back. You and your family are under and then you couldn't get her out of windows. So you couldn't get her out of window, so you killed her, smashed her over the head and garroted her, giving up on your ransom. Doesn't that just seem bizarre? Don't try to grow a brain, Don't try to grow a brain, John. You're not the only one. You're not the only fat cat around. So don't think that killing will be difficult. Don't underestimate us, John. Use that good southern common sense of yours. It's up to you. I mean, the note is sort of like a key element of the case, because regardless if the person who wrote it has knowledge of who killed JonBenet Ramsey, 100%. You can't, there's no, because if it's a fake note, they have knowledge. If it's a real note, that person has knowledge of it. So it is the key to the case is likely this note right here. You know that? Did we already do this one? I don't think so. The 8th. All right. JonBenet Ramsey, just 6, wore a sparkling crown and a fancy beauty pageant gown when she was buried. Her mother, a former beauty queen herself, wept at the foot of the little maple coffin, a long black veil obscuring her face. Around her father's neck hung a medal that his precocious child had won, flaunting her very best smile. JonBenet, who reigned as national tiny Miss Beauty and captured a list of other tiny tot pageant titles, had been strangled. What started with a ransom note found before sunrise the day after Christmas ended 8 hours later with the discovery of JonBenet's body in the cellar of the family's expensive home, tape covered her mouth. Denver newspapers, citing unidentified sources, reported. So you had tape over her mouth, so what was the reason that you had to kill her? You couldn't get the tiny little girl out the same window that you came in? You know? It just doesn't, a lot of stuff doesn't make any sense. Denver newspapers citing unidentified sources reported that a cord was around her neck and that she appeared to have been sexually assaulted. In the 2 weeks since her death remains a mystery. Police in this placid college town nestled at the foot of the Rocky Mountains have made no arrests and are tight-lipped about evidence and suspects. But one thing appears clear. The killer knew the house and the family habits well. That would indicate it's not a random act, Mayor Leslie Durgan says. People in Boulder have no need to think someone had been walking the streets of Boulder looking for someone to attack. Police haven't had a formal interview with the Ramseys. Police spokeswoman Leslie Aholm told Tuesday police would speak to them as appropriate. JonBenét's death was the only homicide last year in the town of 96,000, a community full of bookstores and espresso bars where police ride bicycles and anglers fly fish in a stream running along City Hall. Police spent 10 days gathering evidence in the Ramsey Tudor home just up the street from the University of Colorado and Fraternity and Sorority Row. Detectives also went to Atlanta, where JonBenet was buried, and interviewed the Ramsey friends and relatives and searched the family's summer home in Michigan. What does that mean? Was buried in Tudor home just up the street from the University of Colorado and Fraternity and Sorority Row. Detectives also went to Atlanta, where JonBenet was buried, and interviewed the Ramsey's friends and relatives and searched the family's summer home in Michigan. There was no sign of forced entry at the Boulder home, and investigators found a notepad in the house that appeared to match the Ransom notepaper. Denver newspaper reported, citing unidentified sources. John and Patricia Ramsey have hired lawyers, a media consultant, and their own detectives to investigate their daughter's death. They are offering a $50,000 reward. Their only media interview has been with CNN. Ramsey's father of 3 children from a previous marriage that ended in divorce moved from Atlanta to Boulder in 1991 with his young wife and 2 little children to become president of Access Graphics, a billion-dollar computer company. The Ramseys have shared their thoughts with police about suspects, Ramsey said, but he also understands they too are being investigated. We are a Christian, God-fearing family, Patricia Ramsey told CNN. We love our children. This is not in the realm of possibility. Hey, thanks, Lizzie Robb. Get you up there on the spin wheel. Hopefully we get to the goal. If we don't, then we'll just carry over, I guess. Seemed like it was going to be a no-brainer tonight, but obviously not. All right, now we're moving to this other newspaper source. They have the local articles. Hold on. All right, let's see. I mean, you guys finding this interesting at all? I mean, at least it's sort of like, this is how it was in the papers all the way back then. Thanks, Michelle Wood. John and Patsy Ramsey's daughter died in Boulder 2 weeks ago. She was found strangled and molested with duct tape over her mouth and her skull fractured in the basement of her parents' 15-room Tudor home. Tight-lipped police have spared nothing in their meticulous search for the killer or killers of the beautiful little girl, the youngest daughter of a wealthy corporate executive and a former beauty queen. Geraldine Bodica's daughter also died in Boulder in December. She was found nearly naked with her face bloodied and beaten face down in a construction ditch near the low-income housing project where she lived. The coroner ruled the death of the epileptic grocery bagger, who was reported to have been an alcoholic, accidental. Police continue investigating, although Boulder Police Chief Tom Kobe says he concurs with the coroner. Well, how is she almost naked, though? Boulder police say the murder of 6-year-old JonBenet Ramsey was the only homicide in 1996. Others aren't so sure. Some neighbors and friends of the 37-year-old Lorraine Lawrence, who died December 4th, said they don't believe the assessment that she died of exposure in a hole at the construction site near a Boulder Housing Authority apartment complex. I wonder what happened to that case. Yeah, let's see. I'm going to type it in. Death of Lorraine Florence Lawrence. Now, actually, this same exact article is what popped up on there. Oh, well, that's sort of interesting. They said that Lorraine Lopez Lawrence died. This is on Reddit, so you got to take it with about 97,000 grains of salt. But it says right here, Lorraine Lopez Lawrence died on December 3rd, 1996, under mysterious circumstances. Her mother was the Ramseys' maid from September to October 1995. I mean, that's crazy, right? I mean, if that's reality, I mean, that's... That's weird. Yeah, that was a long time ago, though, Papa Squatch, so... Let's see what happened on page 2. Alright guys, we're just barely over 50% of tonight's goal. So if you have the ability to help support the channel, I'd appreciate it. Come on. Jeez. Struggling to get to page 2. Nobody knows what that means, Meg. Body said Lawrence had been beaten so badly she couldn't recognize her friend's face. Lawrence's teeth were broken. Her eyes were bloodied and blackened. A trail of blood led from her apartment to where her body was found, and police reportedly found a broken beer bottle next to a pool of blood about 20 yards away. But 2 weeks after her death, the Boulder County coroner released an autopsy report saying Lawrence fell into the hole, presumably dazed from a seizure. Oh, Jesus, really? And died of exposure in the cold. There has been no explanation of how she could have replaced plywood and 2 heavy buckets over the hole as construction workers reportedly left it and found it the morning they discovered Lawrence's body. I'm not sure what happened, but it's hard for me to believe what the police say, that she died because of the cold. This is that other case. Said the neighbor who identified Lawrence's body. She asked that her name not be used. It's obvious that people who have more money are going to get more attention than people who are average. The police treatment of Lawrence's case, some say, is snarkily different, or starkly different from how the Ramsey's case has been handled so far. While Boulder police initially dispatched 15 officers to the scene of Lawrence's death, that number declined within days. In the Ramsey case, 30 officers from Boulder police and other local law enforcement agencies have worked virtually around the clock, even sending investigators to Georgia and Michigan. Police spent almost 10 days carefully scouring the Ramsey house for evidence. They finished examining the Lawrence crime scene in about 2 days. And while the coroner completed and released the autopsy report of Lawrence about 2 weeks after her body was found, more than 2 weeks have passed since JonBenét's body was found, and no such report has been released. The report is not expected for a minimum of a week, according to the coroner. Police also released a detailed report about 2 weeks after Lawrence's death, even though they said it was still being investigated. In the Ramsey case, virtually all public records have been sealed. Yeah, I mean, the Ramsey case just has all the elements that make people in the public want to watch, follow it, etc. I don't see in the article where there was a connection. Ding, 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 ding. Let's see. Okay. 6-take lie detector test in JonBenet photo case. I guess there's, this is sort of like Judge Goal regarding the defense team. The Boulder County Sheriff's Department gave lie detector tests Monday to 6 people from the coroner's office and the photo lab that processed the coroner's crime scene pictures of JonBenet Ramsey that were sold to a tabloid newspaper. I mean, how disgusting. They were people who, because of their position, might have had custody of the pictures at one time or another, or some authority over them. He said the polygraph tests are not admissible in court, but are useful in investigations. We plan to give at least 2 more tests. At least 1 more test, He hopes the results will be available today. The county attorney's office also filed a motion in Boulder District Court to prevent Boca Raton, Florida-based Globe Communications Corporation, which publishes the 1.3 million circulation Globe tabloid, from printing more photos from the Boulder County Coroner's Office. The photos, reported stolen Friday, are part of the investigation of the murder of JonBenet. The 6-year-old beauty queen was found strangled December 26th in the basement of her parents' home at 755 15th Street in Boulder. Police have made no arrests and have no suspects in the case. The pictures have been published in this week's edition of the Globe. The Boulder County Commissioner voted 2-0 Monday to file the temporary restraining order against the Globe and to initiate a civil lawsuit against the tabloid. The lawsuit would permanently keep the Globe from printing more of the pictures, order the Globe to return the photos, and request damages and attorney fees from the tabloid. Commissioner Paul Danish was not present for the vote. We're just very anxious that nothing that can damage the case or the prosecution would be published. County Commissioner, the case, you haven't arrested anybody. Judge Roxanne Balin heard testimony on the county's motion Monday and is expected to rule today. In other developments Monday, Lockheed Martin's security officer found no substance in a theory that JonBenet's murder was related to Access Graphics' foreign business dealings, as reportedly written in the ransom note, a spokesperson said. Access Graphics is a Boulder-based subsidiary of Lockheed Martin. It's sort of interesting because Lockheed Martin's like a huge military contract company. And then you've got this sort of note that kind of references that kind of like global power, stuff like that. The district attorney's office has been trying to plug media leaks. District Attorney Alex Hunter sent a memo to his employees reminding them that the office has a policy against discussing pending criminal cases. Staff members were told to initial the memorandum after reading it. So after they got this note, they wanted proof that they all read it. There's so much pressure on everybody from media, neighbors, etc., said Hunter, who added that he has never had to issue such a memo before. Newsweek magazine this week published an unattributed report that semen was found on JonBenet's body. The magazine also reported that Boulder police had narrowed the field of, if there was semen on there, this case would be done right now. Boulder Police Chief Tom Kobe would neither confirm nor deny the Newsweek's report, saying only it's an issue that hasn't been discussed and probably won't be. Well, it won't be because, it doesn't exist. It continues to amaze me how many experts we have in this thing and how many verifications of information people can come up with out of thin air. With the media, I continue to be impressed by the use of sources, he said. However, whoever released the pictures to the Globe could face civil and criminal penalties. The district attorney's office would charge the person or persons with theft, Hunter said. He said the amount of theft would be left to kind of a rough formula that estimates the fair market value. That value could be anywhere from the few dollars the photographic paper and chemicals cost to the tens of thousands of dollars the thief reportedly received from the Globe. Seeing as they did essentially rifle through our files and take our papers, they may well be civil action taken as well. The King Soopers and Safeway supermarkets barred, so they blocked the newspaper. I mean, it sounds kind of similar to the Delphi case. Hey, look at that. The blank slate is trying for a wave. Don't let her down, everybody. We got to get moving here tonight. All right, so there you go. A blank slate you got put in there. We're currently just barely over 50%. Again, we started off the show pretty good. I thought you guys wanted to go over this case. It's wild. Anyways, let me get rid of this one. And then I skipped all the way to like March. There's just so many articles just over and over and over again. Every day there was something. But one thing you can say for certain, if JonBenet Ramsey, and everything was similar, it was a house with a parent and a ransom note, and it was a little small black girl that wasn't wasn't in a pageant. That this would have got like 3 days of coverage and never talked about again. Okay, so it's just insane. Like this case, it's interesting, but there's other cases out there that are just as interesting. I've seen them, and nobody talks about them. As a matter of fact, some are more interesting. Hey, thanks so much, Brown-Eyed Girl. Da, 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 da. Do you like it better when I sing it, or is it better when I hit the button?
You, my brown-eyed girl.
I'm sure that's better. Yeah. Thank you. And there's Frida 657. All right. Okay. So this one, police clear adult kids. So John Ramsey, adult children from previous marriages officially have been cleared of suspicion in the murder of their half-sister. Other developments in the case Thursday, police sought multiple handwriting samples from Ramsey's wife, Patsy. The status of DNA tests was updated, and the former lead detective in the case was cleared of allegations that he leaked information to the media. But the announcement about the Ramsey children marked the first time in the 10-week investigation that police have removed any name from the list. So, but the parents haven't been removed. JonBenet was found strangled. I mean, because here's the thing. It's easy to disprove somebody. Okay, this kid was at college. His friend verified he was there. This kid's over here, blah, 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 blah. You know, so they can just be proven not there. Where the Ramsey, you know, John and Patsy, they were at the house along with Burke. So you can't prove. And I think there's a massive lack of DNA in this case. There's almost none, sounds like. How is that possible, Gray? There must have been 19 Odinists there. You know, because only, you know, a pack of Odinists don't leave DNA. You ever notice that? But if you're just one individual guy, of course you should have left DNA there. But if you're a pack of wild Odinists, you don't leave any DNA at all. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they just like this really vague, small amount of touch DNA. They think it came from the factory who created the underwear, you know. Yeah, that's it. John Ramsey, adult children from, yeah, we already did that part. JonBenet was found strangled in her parents' basement December 26, 8 hours after she was reported kidnapped. No suspects have been named in the case. John Andrew Ramsey, a 20-year-old student at the University of Colorado, and his sister Melinda Ramsey, a 25-year-old nurse in Roswell, Georgia, were publicly cleared of involvement to relieve them a stress caused by inappropriate speculation. Man, can you imagine if this case was fresh today, though? Oh, man, this would turn into a shit show real quick. Especially with all the clown YouTubers out there, you know, that get their bullhorns out and start screaming. And when Boulder police traveled to Roswell, Georgia on February 13th, they had the express purpose of clearing John and Andrew and Melinda Ramsey. They took a spokesperson with them. They didn't need to take a polygraph or anything. They just have witnesses to make the announcement. But when the detectives and spokesperson arrived in Roswell, they learned that John Ramsey had hired an Atlanta attorney, James Jenkins, to represent Melinda and John Andrew, as well as the children's mother, Lucinda Johnson. Jenkins would not allow the Ramsey children or their mother to speak with the officers. As a result, alternative sources of information had to be developed, which delayed our ability to publicly issue this information. Right, because it would be really simple for you guys to just, you know, find anybody that was with them during any of those times and you'd have your answer. Pat Corton, the Ramsey media consultant, posted this on the website. The Ramsey family is grateful. All right, you guys, we only have 2 new members tonight. So if you're out there and you want to be a channel member, sign up, man. You get the emojis. Help support the channel. Corton also said the investigators hired by the Ramseys are not investigating police, contrary to recently published reports. McNeil said that police had to go to Patsy Ramsey 3 times for handwriting samples because police had difficulty obtaining satisfactory samples because Miss Ramsey is reported to have been taking medication since December 26. Sources close to the investigation denied reports that the handwritten ransom note found the morning of JonBenet's death did not match John Ramsey's handwriting. Denied reports that okay, so they're saying, okay. they're saying that the report said that his handwriting did not match, and they're denying the report. From what I've heard, some of the results have been inconclusive and no final decision have been made with regard to those samples. But don't you guys all agree that if one of the parents did write the note, then they know exactly what happened to their kid? Because what would be the purpose of doing that? Doesn't make any sense. A Boulder police internal investigation cleared Detective Sergeant Larry Mason of allegations that he leaked information to members of the media. Mason, the original lead investigator in the case, was removed from the investigation January 5th when he returned from the first of the detective's trips to Georgia. Police hand-delivered DNA samples from the Colorado Bureau of Investigation laboratories to the Cellmark Diagnostic Lab. You mean hopeful, you didn't give them, you mean DNA from actual people that you swabbed, or are you talking about? Police hand-delivered DNA samples from the Colorado Bureau of Investigation laboratories to the Cellmark Diagnostics Lab in Maryland on Tuesday, McNeil said. Boulder police detectives are out of state, but McNeil said he did not know how many or where they are traveling. Boulder District Attorney Alex Hunter told the camera that while his office has not seen the entire police file on the Ramsey investigation, prosecutors have seen everything that is useful to them. We don't have everything, but we're not in a position to deal with everything anyway, Hunter said. What? We don't have everything, but we're not in a position to deal with everything anyway. What? That sounds ludicrous. One of the important organizational pieces is not only that you have this material, but it has to be usable. The prosecution and police are working on a computer system to help them deal with the thousands of pages of documents that have accumulated in Ramsey's case. We want to be in the same mode, said Hunter, who added that dealing with the volume of paperwork has caused some of the delays. All right. And we haven't had any coffees lately either, so if you got to buy me a coffee, you still get into the spin. What would be at here? 15. Yeah. Ding 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 dong 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 dong. Sources: JonBenet's dad didn't write note. Okay. John Ramsey could not have written a ransom note found in the family home the day his 6-year-old daughter, JonBenet, was found strangled in the basement, sources close to the investigation say. Two groups of handwriting experts, one from the Colorado Bureau of Investigation and the other hired by the Ramsey family, have reached that conclusion, sources say. However, the same two groups of experts differ on whether the girl's mother could have written the note. CBI document examiner have concluded that comparisons with samples provided by Patsy Ramsey do not provide enough evidence to confirm or deny her authorship of the 3-page note. Meanwhile, unidentified experts hired by the Ramsey family, described as nationally known and respected, have concluded there is a slight chance Patsy Ramsey wrote the note, but that it's highly unlikely. However, the family experts are not working from the original note. Examinations conducted on photocopied samples may limit the reliability of any analysis, handwriting experts say. Family representatives also contacted the Boulder District Attorney's Office to propose that the two groups of document examiners sit down together with no lawyers present. to hash out their differences, but District Attorney Alex Hunter turned down the offer, sources said. JonBenet Ramsey's body was discovered in the basement of her family's University Hill home by her father and a friend on December 26, about 8 hours after her mother called police to say she had been kidnapped. A coroner's examination found that she had been struck on the head, strangled with a cord, and sexually assaulted. Yep. You guys even here? If I'm going to sit here and just keep reading, can you guys chat at least about what we're talking about or something? Police still have not named any suspects in the case, but 2 weeks ago ruled out John Ramsey's children by a previous marriage. The rambling 3-page ransom note, written on a pad found inside the home and discovered on a back stairway, demanded $118,000, equal to the amount of John Ramsey's bonus from Access Graphics, the Boulder company of which he is president, and alluded to in international connections in the murder. The note was written in block letters, and investigators believe some words may have been deliberately misspelled in an effort at misdirection. Investigators also found a practice note, apparently written by the author on paper from the same pad. So he's just sitting there, just hanging out, stuck that one in his pocket. Be interesting if they could have, I bet it was flushed down the toilet. And then they could have found it. Investigators also found a practice note, apparently written by the author on paper from the same pad. Several people, including John and Patsy Ramsey, have provided numerous handwriting samples to investigators. In addition to several handwriting samples from John and Patsy Ramsey. God, what a way to add words. Look at that. Several people, including John and Patsy Ramsey, have provided numerous handwriting samples. In addition to several handwriting samples from John and Patsy Ramsey that were directed by police and written on request following the murder, investigators also took an undetermined number of samples written prior to the crime from the Boulder home, a source said. The family experts are working from similar materials, the source said. Copies of the directed samples written for police and writings obtained from the house that were penned prior to the murder. With investigators still conspicuously mum on virtually all evidence in the case, including DNA tests that could link potential suspects to the murder, authorship of the ransom note has taken on increasingly significance. If DNA evidence proves likely, because the focus of any prosecution, sources say. Boulder officials, including Hunter, would not comment on any of the assertions. Handwriting analysis maintain their skill is a useful tool in determining authorship. So anyways, they said it's not John's, but it could be Patsy's. Right. You weren't, Karen. You weren't chatting up a storm. All right, we're currently about 90 short of reaching the goal tonight, you guys. It'd be great to do the spin. All right, police clear Ramsey's friends. So investigators do not consider a local oil executive and his wife suspects in the JonBenet Ramsey homicide. Priscilla and Fleet White Jr., close friends of the parents of the slain 6-year-old, arrived at the Ramsey home on December 26, shortly after Patsy Ramsey, JonBenet's mother, found a ransom note. About 8 hours later, John Ramsey, JonBenet's father, and Fleet White discovered the former Little Miss Colorado strangled in the basement. So that was just his friend with him. Authorities have not made any arrests or named any suspects in the case. Police, however, have ruled out John Andrew and Melinda Ramsey, JonBenet's adult half-siblings. As of March 30th, Boulder police have incurred costs of $119,000, which is $1,000 more than the ransom note would have been. If a situation arises that requires additional funds, the police chief, Ton Kobe, in consultation with the city managers, will get some more money. Ramsey lawyers have not decided if Patsy Ramsey will submit to authorities a request for a fifth handwriting sample. Aholm said Patsy Ramsey supplied a fourth left-handed sample to investigators Saturday. All right. Yeah. Go ahead, Therese. We're doing something else here. If you want to go with Lou over and over and over again, that's great. I don't know who the hell that person is. Don't care. Let's see. Hunter acknowledges parents are focus of murder investigation. Boulder investigators. Okay, it starts on page 1, so I got to go there first. Yeah, and anybody in this case can make anything point to anything. I can just tell you. So you can sit there and believe some new guy because he was in a documentary. It doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean a damn thing. We see that in the Delphi case. You know, like if I didn't exist, right, and you were just going to listen to court TV when they have on clowns like Bob Motta and the rest of them, you'd think there was something totally wacky, that there was these odious, crazy people, and everybody believes that shit. But the reality isn't that. But you can always paint a picture of whatever you want to paint, okay? Yeah, you can say whatever the hell you want to say, and you watch the documentary and you go, ooh, that guy, he knows, you know. But there's probably contradictory evidence also that he's not going to mention because it doesn't work for him. So just keep an open mind instead of just believing some rando, some guy on a documentary. Who cares, Karen? If he's been out from the beginning or not. I don't give a shit. Yeah. You know, he's awesome for all the people who think it's an intruder, okay? He's not awesome for people who don't believe it's an intruder. Anyways, Boulder District Attorney Alex Hunter has, for the first time, publicly identified, and all the people who think this guy's right are going to go, I agree, and try to be friends with the people in the chat who said that. Like, Karen's now going to be friends with Sluthifer and going to be friends with Therese, because you're all on the same team, and I don't want to do this bullshit where we have teams here, okay? We're going through the information from the beginning, and that's what we're doing, all right? We're just going through it on our own. So we don't have teams or anything yet. Oh, wow. That's right. Oh, wow, yours is right. It is it, Karen. I know what I'm talking about. I've seen it happen all the time. Hey, Birdie284. Right, yeah, because of experience and he's intelligent. Yeah, of course, right. Just like everybody says the same thing about these people who show up on these shows and they're the experts and they're wrong every single time. It's amazing. So just kind of, keep an open mind. You never know. You never know. But sounds like people have already not done that yet. Already. So let's see. Here we go. Oh, we got people already whining in here? You're abusive? Is that what you're saying? Who's abusive? You? let's see. Yeah. I'm not even sure where I'm at in the chat. Oh. There we go. That's arrogant. That's abusive. Oh. God, I've never seen such whiny people out there. What's abusive? What is? Because I think that he is a, just believing somebody because it fits what you believe. I mean, hell, maybe he knows exactly what he's talking about. But I think what happens is people want to believe something, so they go with that. And they just go with, it's always confirmation bias. So whoever gives you the theory that fits what you believe, you'll go with that guy. And it doesn't matter what they say or anything and I'm telling you, that's just the way it is. If you go through, maybe it's possible that facts might show up that would change your mind, but you won't change your mind because you already believe something. Happens in every case. And that's why we get such divided people. I don't know what's going on in this one. People say it's Burke. Some people say it's Patsy. Some people say it's somebody from the outside. Some people say it's Patsy covering up for Burke. What does John know? Blah, blah, blah. It just goes on and on and on. Oh, yeah. You've been on it since day one, Karen. I'm sure you had your little Inspector Clouseau hat on and your magnifying glass. Oh, yeah. Yeah. How did Lou explain the pineapple in JB's? I probably forgot that part. Goofy girl. Probably completely forgot that. Everybody's an expert. See, that's why bother covering a case when everybody's an expert? It's like it just has no good outcome. And look, you guys, this is one of our worst nights we've had in terms of supporting the channel in probably, I don't know, like this whole week. And I'm covering a case that all of you wanted me to do, and I'm just trying to figure out, like, what case do I need to cover to get the support on the channel? Can anybody give me that one? And I don't know the answer to it. Right, I'm just trying to go over from the beginning of the case, right? Yeah, we're at like 60% again. Just gather the information because we don't know either. Well, I'm just going through these newspaper articles from way back when. We're currently on April 19th, 1997. That's right, Lisa Valenzuela. I made you one just now. That's cool. I had thought about it before, and then Sandy Shirley actually said it something earlier. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I am praying that the bottom feeder that slaughtered JonBenet is caught. It sure will not be one of the... You don't have any idea if it is or not, Judy, to be honest with you. I know you got the window that's open downstairs, the suitcase standing next to the window, right? And the guy must have climbed up. But why did he kill JonBenet Ramsey down there? Why did he do that? It's so weird, you know? Couldn't you just tied her up and dragged her through the window because she's really small? Instead, he writes this whole note, starts over again, or whoever wrote it, starts over again and writes it and gets it all prepared and then kills the very person that they were going to make money off of. Isn't that weird? Can you explain that one? Why is that, Frida? How do you know if she was on the suitcase? Or put into the suitcase? where does everybody come up with this stuff? Was there DNA inside the suitcase? Yeah. All right, so I'm going to ask one last time on the show tonight, you guys. I do these shows every single night, and my channel relies on the support of the people watching the channel. Tonight, we're not even at the goal. We have 400 people watching. It should be really simple to do. There is no ad revenue on these shows because the stuff that you talk about, they mark it, and then when the show's over, it gets the little yellow symbol, and there's nothing. So without your support, there is no revenue on here. Now, if I had 4,000 people watching, the ad revenue during the show portion before they mark it might be worth something, but it isn't. All right, so I rely on you guys, like Annabella Roma right there. Okay? So it's up to you guys to make things happen because I can't just make something appear, and I'm just doing the shows the way I do the shows. We've been doing these for a long time, and I don't have a different way to do them. Okay? I just want to go through these articles and try to figure out like what was going on. You can see that the police were already kind of suspicious of the family, and they may have had tunnel vision themselves early on. Hey, thanks, Birdie284 and Annabella Roma. All right. So here we go. Boulder District Attorney Alex Hunter has for the first time publicly identified John and Patsy Ramsey as the focus of the investigation into the death of their daughter. So finally they admit it. This is April 19th, 1997. The Hunter statement made initially to the Associated Press and then Friday night to the Denver Post did not come as a major surprise. Authorities have repeatedly asked the Patsy Ramsey for writing samples, and at one point in the investigation, a spokesman for the Ramseys said they considered themselves at the top of the possible list of suspects based on the way police have conducted the 115-day homicide probe. Now, just to go back to what I was saying a minute ago, the reason on this channel I try to raise the income for my channel is to, one, support the channel so I can keep doing the shows, but at the same time, everybody, if you look right here, my channel out of the income has donated $226,000 since January of 2020. And that's to organizations like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, Texas EquiSearch, RAIN. We have our own scholarship fund that we have, and a DNA fund. So that's why I'm always trying to bring in the revenue for the channel so that I'm able to donate also out of the income to make things happen out there, okay? So I'm sorry if it's frustrating to you guys, like, oh, great, come on, just let us watch the show. Great, you can do whatever the hell you want to do, but I'm trying to get the people who have the ability to help support the channel to help support the channel, okay? We're, this year, we're at 47,000, and I probably might only get to 49,000 this year, which is our third best year, but, hopefully times will get better. Who the hell knows? All right. Yeah, so obviously we're looking inside the house, Hunter told the Post on Friday night, meaning the investigation has steered toward the 6-year-old girl's parents. Earlier Friday, he told the Associated Press basically the same thing. Obviously the focus is on these people, he said of John and Patsy Ramsey. You can call them what you want to. Lee Foreman, an attorney for John Ramsey, said he had no comment on the district attorney's statement. Hunter, in his interview with the Post, stressed that there are no formal suspects in the case and that this is an open-minded investigation, unlike some of the people in chat. It's extremely important that you say this is an open-minded investigation, Hunter said. Now, see, people might think, like in the Delphi case, Gray, you weren't open-minded, you didn't do the Odinist theory. Every time I start a case, I don't know what the hell's going on in it. But when you start working through it and you start putting all the facts together, you become less open-minded because you see where the facts are. And, and if something comes in and shreds your fact that you had, then you start over again. That's how it works. A delayed super chat. Never heard of that. Never heard of it. We have had no buy me a coffees lately either. So here it is, you guys. That one works pretty good. Earlier this Friday, he told okay, so it says, Lee Foreman, attorney for John Ramsey, said he had no comment on the district attorney's statement. Hunter, in his interview with the Post, stressed that there are no formal suspects. It's extremely important that you say this is an open-minded investigation. Hunter's comments could damage what is already a strained relationship between... Now I just go to page 12 here. Now, who's FBI? Nobody knows what that is. Jet Set Girl. Who are you talking about? Boulder investigator and attorneys for John and Patsy Ramsey, sources close to the Ramsey, have told the Post that it's difficult to accept the apparent notion on the part of prosecutors that the Ramseys may be involved in the murder. However, in a rare move of cooperation early this week, Hunter and Ramsey's attorney, Hal Haddon, agreed on a joint statement about the fact that the investigators had requested yet a fifth handwriting session with Patsy Ramsey. I wonder why they're doing so many. They're almost like they're waiting for one that looks good enough. That's something that sucks right there, right? Right, Karen? Hey, thanks, Norm Scanlon. Ding, 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 ding. Karen always takes off. Every time I flip her crap, she disappears. Come on, Karen. Let's see. Oh, there she is. Teresa, it's because it will make them look bad. Then their witch hunt against the family will end. Yeah, I don't know who's done it. But you got to admit, what Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick was saying about the note kind of made sense, right? Like it does seem like a woman may have written that note. But it also sounds like a guy wrote part of it, so it's kind of an interesting... Norm Scanlon said it's very interesting to look back at the case like this from beginning to present. All right. So we're just going to keep doing it. I don't know if there's like key points over the years. Karen said, "Oh, bite me, Gray, you bastard." Thank you, Crypto Catherine. You're mean, Karen. You're mean. I'm going to put you in prison. Wait, how do we do that? Here's the jail. Okay. Now, how do we get... So, is that it right there? Oh, God. I think I can do it. There it is. Karen is in prison. Who in the hell's getting Karen out of prison? Karen's in prison now, you guys. Oh my God. There it is. Hey, thanks so much, Crypto Catherine. No bail for Karen. Yep, she's in the big house. Oh, we've got a Trisha on, let's do the M. On a Buy Me a Coffee. There we go. Got that in there. Karen, let Karen rot in the big house. Can't let Karen rot in a big house, said Plato. I don't know, man. She said, Gray, bite me. Man, that's a prison sentence at that point. And by the way, Lisa Valenzuela, you don't have to do anything different than you normally do. Okay? I don't want you to feel like, oh, you got to be, and it goes for all the mods. Like, you don't have to be here all the time and everything. If you want to be here because you like the show, that's cool and everything. But, man, I guess you're just stuck in there, Karen. Isn't that amazing? Nobody else is bailing you out quite yet. I'll give you another minute, though. Another minute. If not, we'll just have to leave you in there. As unfortunate as that may be. I got to go back up to Karen, though. I got a different name on there. There it is. Right there. If you're away, I've missed a lot since moving east. Mod it your way. I'm not sure what that means. I have missed a lot. Yeah, you just mod however you want. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Anyways, I'll get out. I guess nobody's bailing her out. All right. So we'll just get. You're effectively left in prison. All right. Hunter acknowledges parents are focus of murder investigation. JonBenet Ramsey was murdered. Yeah, we know all that. So anyways, at this one, it just means that now the parents are being looked at. So this is back around April of 1997 when they officially came out and started suggesting that they're looking into the parents. And then this one's April 25th, 1997. Officials list conditions for Ramsey. So now there's like these conditions for the Ramseys interviews. Investigators remain willing to interview the parents of JonBenet Ramsey, Boulder Police Chief Thomas. Isn't that amazing? They haven't been interviewed yet. It's like May. Kobe and Hunter, however, listed 6 conditions for the proposed interrogation. John and Patsy Ramsey must be interviewed separately. Patsy Ramsey must be interviewed first. There must be an open-ended time frame for the interview with reasonable breaks. The interview must be tape recorded. The interview must be conducted by 2 Boulder police detectives selected in consultation with Hunter. I keep thinking of Hunter Biden. God, it sucks. The Ramseys may be accompanied by their attorney. All right, we're currently 46 short of the goal, you guys. So when we get to that, it'll be a glorious night. The interview must be conducted at a neutral location such as the Child and Family Advocacy Center in Nuwat. Hunter and Kobe also noted they understand the feelings of frustration the Ramseys have experienced. The officials acknowledge the unfortunate miscommunication between investigators and the family. We're encouraged to hear you indicate a continued willingness to accomplish the critical interviews with Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey. We share that goal. The Ramseys' lawyers have not decided if the couple will submit to questioning under such circumstances. They're pretty reasonable conditions, and we really need to talk. So anyways, they set conditions to meet with the Ramseys, and those are them. John and Patsy Ramsey must be interviewed separately. Patsy Ramsey must be interviewed first. There must be an open-ended time frame, but with reasonable breaks. The interviews must be tape recorded. The interview must be conducted by the Boulder police detectives selected in consultation with Hunter. So there you go. And then we're over to, I guess if we add in the buy me a coffees, we're probably at the goal. Just like yesterday, I guess. Ramsey's, okay, so this is this really long one, but it seems like, this might be pretty interesting. Yeah, look at this crazy, this whole timeline and everything. So, it's kind of small, dense writing, but I guess it's like an interview, okay? Editor's notes. John and Patricia Ramsey spoke for 30 minutes with 7 reporters in Boulder on Thursday. The interview ended 4 months of public silence by the couple. Clay Evans represented the Daily Camera at the interview. Following is a complete transcript of reporters' questions and the Ramseys' responses. So this is probably something, I don't know if this is out there, but it's pretty interesting. Mr. Ramsey, we've been anxious to do this for some time, and I can tell you why it's taken us so long. We felt from the beginning an obligation to talk with the Boulder authorities. Let them do their formal interrogation of Patsy and I. That has, as you know, been successfully accomplished yesterday. So we feel now we have a little more freedom to talk about and clear some issues that we wanted addressed. I think one of the issues that was distressing to us and perhaps caused some bias of opinion is why we would bring lawyers into the process early on. I can tell you both how that happened and why it happened. The how is that on the day after the tragedy, we were being consoled by friends and family, and a close friend of mine who was also practicing attorney took me aside and said, "John, I see some things developing here, and I would like to ask your permission to do some things that I think are necessary to be done." And I said, "Fine, do it." And so he retained counsel for Patsy and I, and we later learned, and later was really the next few days, that the reason he did this is that sadly for our country, most tragedies of this nature, the killing of a child, apparently in the majority of cases are family related. And I think that's a tragic statement for our country, but because we were the parents of JonBenet, we were automatically put in the suspect pool, and so to not have knowledgeable counsel, my close friend felt would be foolish. Now we also, at the time, as parents, looked at retaining attorneys. We also brought in a couple of investigative firms and experts that we assembled. I felt it very helpless, feeling as to what can I do to help solve this case. Had it been in my power, I would have called out the National Guard, frankly. So as we looked at this group of people we had pulled together, it was not only to advise us in this process, but hopefully to assist an investigation to a closure. Don't you think this is pretty interesting, you guys? Because this is, I don't know if this is out there, like, is this an actual video form somewhere? To those of you who may want to ask, this might be an actual interview that's you can watch somewhere. Might be one of the ones that Plato sent me, I don't know. To those of you who may want to ask, let me address it very directly. I did not kill my daughter, JonBenet. There have also been innuendos that she has been or was sexually molested. I can tell you that those were the most hurtful innuendos. I can tell you those were the most hurtful innuendos to us as a family. They are totally false. JonBenet and I had a very close relationship. I will miss her dearly. They were talking about that day, though. Not, I don't know. Maybe people were insinuating that he assaulted her over time. And Mrs. Ramsey said, I'm Patsy Ramsey, JonBenet's mother, and I'm grateful. And she has a little higher pitched voice than the one I'm using. I'm Patsy Ramsey. I'm Patsy Ramsey, JonBenet's mother, and I'm grateful that we are finally able to meet together face to face. I'm appalled that anyone would think that John and I would be involved in such a hideous, heinous crime, but let me assure you that I did not kill JonBenet and did not have anything to do with this. I love that child with the whole of my heart and soul. I mean, the thing is like I was saying when Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick was on, the killer for certain knows John, knows of John, to know certain details about him and his bonus amount. Right? So, it's either one of them or somebody that knows him really well. And it's interesting that he doesn't know, like they've never found that person that obviously would have known him pretty well. Yeah, we don't know Afro or Troll. We don't know. I'd call you a troll, though. Yeah, I think Buy Me a Coffee keeps like 10 or 12% when they put all their fees in there, but it's better than 30 for sure. Quite frankly, over the past, it's not been so easy to talk with anyone. If there's anyone who has suffered the loss of a child... Oh, hold on. I think I left off up here. I did not kill JonBenet. I did not have anything to do with this. I love that child with the whole of my heart. We made a firm commitment that we would not speak openly until we had spent time in a room with the authorities. That was successfully accomplished yesterday, and now we feel like it's time to talk with you all, with all of you. Quite frankly, over the past, it has not been so easy to talk with anyone. If there's anyone who has suffered the loss of a child, this is the time for the family and friends and clergy, people, and quite frankly, a lot of time and prayer. We feel like God has a master plan for our lives, and that in time, our family will be united again, and we'll see JonBenet. I'd like to take a moment to just let you know how much we have appreciated the hundreds and hundreds of cards and letters and pictures, and children have lent me little angels and books and all kinds of things that wonderfully compassionate, caring people from all over the world actually have sent to us. We have read each and every one of those cards and letters. I cannot tell you how much encouragement they have given us, and I sometimes hope to respond to each and every one of those. Mr. Ramsey said, one of the most heart-lifting things to us that came out of this tragedy was that while we certainly know there are evil people in the world, we have just been overwhelmed by the goodness that has come to us from people we don't even know. We've received cards, Tenery. We've received cards from Saskatchewan, Canada, Europe, certainly all over the United States. I had corresponded several times with a little girl about our son Burke's age in southern Illinois, who was very distressed by this. I've received a card from an elderly lady. I think she said she was 85, and she had to wait until she got her Social Security check to buy a stamp to send us a letter. And it's just been wonderful. So we've been out of his perhaps different, what does it say? So we've come out of this perhaps differently than you would expect, in believing that really is a lot of goodness in the world, and that's been an outcome we certainly wouldn't have anticipated with this kind of tragedy. Then Miss Ramsey said, one of the things that we would love to be able to ask you all here this morning is that we need your help from this moment on. I know you have been diligently covering this case, and we have appreciated some of what you said, and to be frank, not all of what you said, but we need to all work together as a team, and we need your help. Some of you may have seen an ad that we placed in our local daily Camera newspaper this past weekend. This reward money has been offered since the death of JonBenet, but we felt like it wasn't getting out to the public enough, so this ad with her most recent kindergarten picture will be appearing more and more frequently. And what we want to let everybody know is that this $100,000 reward is for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the killer of our daughter. We feel like there are at least two people on the face of this earth that know who did this, and that is the killer and someone that the person may have confided in. And we need that one phone call to this number that may help the authorities come to a conclusion with this case. Please, please, if you know anything, I beg you to call us, and I guess if any of you have any questions of us, and then here's the question and answer. Do a poll for what, Sluthifer? I'm just doing my show, man. Just leave me alone, okay? Mr. Ramsey said, the question was, this is the same plea that you said in an interview 4 months ago. But over the last 4 months, we've seen no ads. We haven't seen you come out publicly and say, we need to catch this killer. Some would say you've let a lot of time where the trail. Then he said, Mr. Ramsey, well, we've been distressed and that the reward wasn't better publicized. It's been in place almost from the beginning. We had hoped that the authorities would have publicized the reward better. We finally gave up and decided to do it ourselves. Then another question. John, what do you think of people who raise questions and criticize and say no amount of advice from any number of attorneys would have kept me from talking to the police and telling them every bit of information I had? This criticism even came from Polly Klaas's father. He would have submitted to a lie detector test that you would have, and then Mr. Ramsey said, we have spoken with the police. We spoke with the police approximately 8 hours on the 26th. So there's conditions. Only invited reporters. Reporters were required to report to a specific door. During the interview, reporters were barred from asking questions of the Ramseys regarding the facts of the case. Reporters also were barred from mentioning the location of the interview. Photographers were barred from taking any shots of the exterior or signs of the East Boulder location. Jeez, crazy. We have spoken with the police. We spoke with the police approximately 8 hours on the 26th. Another 2 hours on the 27th after supplied them with every piece of information we have. So the impression that we haven't spoke with the police is totally false. What has been delayed has been this formal interrogation of us as suspects. And frankly, we were, as you might imagine, insulted that we would even be considered suspects in the death of our daughter, and felt that an interrogation of us was a waste of time and a waste of the police's time. Well, the thing is, if they want to interrogate you, I guess, I mean, you might, the police are going to be focused on you and not be focused on the actual killer until you get your interview done. But I guess if you have an attorney with you, it shouldn't be too difficult. And frankly, we were, as you might imagine, insulted, it said, but not under any circumstances that was presented to us. Wait. in the death of our daughter and felt that an interrogation of us was a waste of time and a waste of the police's time, but because they have to do this, we were willing to do it, but not under any circumstances that was presented to us. What do you want to say to the killer of your daughter? Mr. Ramsey said, "We'll find you. We will find you. I have that as a sole mission for the rest of my life." Mrs. Ramsey. Mrs. Ramsey? Likewise, the police and investigators have assured us that this is a case that can be solved. You may be eluding the authorities for a time, but God knows you are who you are, and we will find you. And another question I'd like to ask, short of an arrest, given the kind of publicity that has been around this crime and around you two as suspects, are you concerned that without an arrest, you might always live under a cloud of suspicion? Mr. Ramsey said, "Well, we're not concerned about that. Our friends that know us know who you are, and we have a wonderful set of friends for which we are very thankful of us. I realize that more in the last four months, but an arrest is absolutely necessary in our lives for closure. Our lives can not go on the same as they might have had JonBenet been here. But I know how I feel today, and an arrest must be made for us to go on with a semblance of a life and hope for the future." By the way, what's the kid doing? Burke, what's he doing today? Is he did he go to college? And he must be, he'd be like 40 years old or something, wouldn't he? A lot of people have said that your actions, and in particular the CNN interview, contributed to the swirl of publicity around this. Would you have done things differently if you could? Well, I don't know, Mr. Ramsey said. That was a time when the view was that we were overwhelmed by the outpouring and caring. It's a tragedy that many children are killed in this country every year. I don't know why this case in particular... Right. This just did catch so much attention. But there was an article in the Atlanta Constitution that after the funeral that said Georgia says goodbye to JonBenet, and we were just terribly touched by that. I really felt a need to thank people, and that was the principal reason that we did the interview, and had really not intended to even do that, but it was a spur of the moment. Next question said, you mentioned spending several hours with the police when your daughter was first reported missing. From the time that you found the note until your daughter was found, who came to mind after reading that note? Who did you think of? Mr. Ramsey said, well, we can't discuss that, frankly, because we shared that information with the police. I'd like to know what they thought. But did names come to mind, Mr. Ramsey? Mr. Ramsey said, we would like to think that we have never met anyone in our lives who could do such a thing to a child. But they talked with us and said, please tell us names of people who may have been in your home at any time. Remember, they had those 3 parties leading up to Christmas. We read that in the earlier articles tonight. We just outpoured information, just as much as we could try to remember, but no one specifically came to mind. I mean, you could imagine such a horrible thing ever happening. You can't imagine such a horrible thing happening, much less somebody that you may know. God, the writing's so small. Maybe if I zoom in. Next question. If I may follow up, what did it do to you to hear the comments and reports from profilers, investigators, rampant speculation of the public that somebody close to you may have been in your home, may have done this to your daughter? Mr. Ramsey said, well, as a person, I think it makes you very much more guarded. We felt, well, the person does know you, though, because they knew about the 118,000. They knew about your, your southern charm, etc. We felt we lived in a safe community. We still do. We weren't terribly concerned about a security and privacy, and certainly those issues come right up to the top of your priority list after something like this happens, regardless of who might have done it. And the next question is, Mrs. Ramsey, how do you stand it that your daughter is dead and you are a possible suspect? How do you cope with it? Well, it's, at first we were shocked and then outraged, and then we understood statistically that's a sad state of affairs, that apparently the majority of cases like this in our country, family members or parents are ultimately involved, so we accepted being suspects. But what concerned us, and certainly still does concern us, at least up until yesterday, is that any time spent looking at us is time that's wasted. I mean, they do sound kind of confident that they aren't the person. I haven't seen anything in this writing that makes them sound like they did it. It's nothing sort of weird. Any time spent looking at us is time wasted. Because isn't that exactly what you would feel like? So for 5 months they've been looking at them, and then you'd feel like you guys just wasted those 5 months. We had nothing to do with it. And I know there's other directions being looked at. Mrs. Ramsey said, you asked, how are we coping? Literally it was hour by hour, day to day, week by week. There's no rule book written as to how you handle something like this, as we suffered the loss of our child, as well as the travesty of all of this happening on top of it. We have just basically read or watched very little. Because you can't, it's just overwhelming. We're grieving, it's hurtful, and I can't tell you how bad it's been. Why do you think it happened? Miss Ramsey said, I don't know. And then she said, I think probably the first issue, why didn't they just say, I don't know, and then comma or something instead of having it twice? It makes it sound like she just cavalierly said, I don't know. But if you typed it like this and it said, I don't know, I think probably the first issue that raised, but instead it's, I don't know. And then, I don't think, there's no reason to have two separate comments like that. I think probably the first issue that raised people's curiosity was involving the lawyers, and hopefully I explained that clearly, but I think we also, as a country, and perhaps some of you as reporting enemy, are cynics, and that's kind of sad. And we are not perfect people, but we're not bad people. We're a normal family, and we love our children dearly. Well, you still love Burke, right? That's the only comment a little off right there. We loved our children dearly. Do you feel that you've made any mistakes in the way you've handled things from December 26th onward? Have you? About any steps you've taken? Well, no, not really. And we haven't sat down, and frankly, for the first few months, Patsy and I really were not capable of making any decisions. John, would you recommend the death penalty for the person convicted of killing JonBenet? This is one of those questions that's planned, because if you answer, oh, I don't think so, that sort of implicates yourself. So let's see what he says. I would absolutely want the most severe penalty that could be brought. Boom. All right. So that's not the answer that this person answering that question wanted to get back. All right. They wanted to hear, well, I don't know. I think that, somebody like that, you're kind of wanting them to minimize the punishment because they think it might be themselves, so they don't want to be punished. Get the death penalty. Miss Ramsey, she said, there was no response. Question. John, now that's sort of interesting. She didn't respond to that question. John, do you worry, are you troubled at all that the delay of 4 months for the formal interrogation with the police that didn't happen until yesterday, that it may have hampered your investigation to find the killer of your child? Yeah, see, that's what I was just saying 10 minutes ago. Mr. Ramsey, no, I absolutely not. This was a process that the police went through with us as suspects. I don't believe any new information was provided that we hadn't provided very early on. It was a step that had to be taken, and we have all along to our investigative group, and I have communicated every piece of information we had that we thought was relevant to the police. I have another question as well. You've shown us the ad with the most recent kindergarten picture, but most of America public knows your daughter from glamorous shots from pageants. In hindsight, do you wish that she had not participated in that because it gives a different feeling to what your family actually may have been? Any regrets about that at all? Mrs. Ramsey, those were beautiful pictures, and I'm so happy that we have those pictures. Mr. Ramsey, that was just one very small part of JonBenet's life. I don't believe that. Those pageants take up all their time, and the mother's time. And Mrs. Ramsey, yes, that was a few Sunday afternoons. Question, but the criticism I'm talking about. People accuse you of dressing her up like a little adult. Was there any inappropriate behavior going on in the home? Yeah, yes, there was. You think they're going to answer that? Absolutely no, Miss Ramsey says. Question, Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey, what do you think of the investigation by the Boulder Police Department? God, I guess I have to go to another page. How long have I been on here? Getting close to 3 hours. Still not at the goal number on the screen, but I guess like I was saying, with some of the buy me's the coffees, we only got that last one, but no more. You notice all those massively long lulls though, Plato? It's just like, it's wild. Is this more okay, is this more questions down here? Oh yeah, so this is the rest of the questions. Do you guys want me to keep going through these questions here? Mr. Ramsey, well, we think there's some very good people working on the case. We're very impressed with the people the DA's office has brought in. How's Burke doing? Doing very well, thank you. And your other children? They're doing well. My son is a student at Colorado University, although he has been widely reported as a mysterious dropout. He's been in class. I hope he's been in class for the last 3 months. What would you like to say to people who are watching this about you? Mr. Ramsey, well, we think we are a normal American family that loves and values their children, much like most of the families in this country. And one thing we learned that, frankly, with the death of our oldest daughter, is that life is precious. Their daughter died too, or what happened? Are you an older daughter? Or? We got a wonderful letter from a lady earlier that we had known. She said, "This loss that you have experienced has touched me deeply, and I will spend the extra time reading to my daughter." I thought there was a 25-year-old. Oh, really? A car accident? Jeez, that sucks, man. It's too much to have to go through there, I can tell you that. Let's see. I will spend that extra time helping her dress her dolls. Patsy, how do you feel about some of the mind games that were being played by investigators? For instance, saying that John Andrews' alibi doesn't check out, when in fact investigators knew that he had a rock-solid alibi, when in fact they held JonBenet's body trying to strong-arm you two into doing an interview. Mr. Ramsey, I can tell you we were outraged by that. We did not know that until we returned from Atlanta. Atlanta was our home. We've lived there for 25 years. We were absolutely nauseated and appalled. We felt that's when the worm turned. Explain that a little bit, Mr. Ramsey. Well, in terms of we were coming back in our minds, frankly, it was difficult for us to come back to Boulder on the 31st of December. A lot of very difficult memories for us, but we felt we had to come back to help with the investigation. And when we heard that was going on, we just said, what are we dealing with here? Another question. Are there other aspects of this investigation similar to those that disturb you in terms of having some trust in people that were doing the investigation? Mr. Ramsey, well, I think there's been some scenarios that we outline in the letter. I think that's been pretty clear. How about now? Well, I hope we can move to a new level in the process. Our objective is to get this killer found. Mrs. Ramsey, we all need to be on the same page here in a team effort. I'm sure there are things only we know that they need answered, but we are fully going to cooperate. We have been. Do you think that the Boulder investigators are concentrating outside of the family enough? Do you think that they've done a good job going outside? We are feeling much better about that, yes. So maybe that interrogation made the police think differently. I don't know. Mrs. Ramsey, I feel like they are doing a broad investigation, and that's all that I need to hear. Understand perfectly that they need to investigate us as part of the process. I wish that we had not been investigated for such a long period of time, but that's their decision. But they have assured us that they are doing a broad-reaching investigation, and that's all that we need to know. The majority of what's been printed in the media by impression is leaked from that investigative side. Are you frustrated with that? Do you feel some of the information has been very wrong? Mrs. Ramsey, we don't really know much about leaks. You probably know more than the origin of these leaks than we do. Have the police told you that they may need to do more interviews with you? Would you be willing to do any more? And have they told you that they have cleared you as suspects? Mr. Ramsey, we had no conversation with them after we left the interrogation yesterday. Hey, thanks, Jessica Schubach. She said, let's see, Gray is the best person on YouTube crime genre to look at this case from the beginning with his investigation skills, intellect, and common sense. Hey, well, there you go. Well, thank you. Yeah, you just try to use common sense, There's not a lot of mapping in this one, unfortunately, but thanks, Jessica Schubach. That was a nice thing to say. The majority of... Okay, we just went... Mr. Ramsey said, we don't really know much about leaks. You probably know more about the origin of those leaks than we do. Have the police told you that they may need you to do more interviews with you? Would you be willing to do any more? And have they told you that they have cleared you as suspects? We had no conversations with them after we left the interrogation yesterday. That's not what was asked. Do you believe the killer will be found? Yes, I do. We have been told by some of the experts that we've consulted with on a national level, as well assured by the people that the Boulder DA's office brought in. This is a solvable crime and it will be solved. Will you stay in Boulder? We live on week to week basis right now. As Patsy said, we're up to where we now look at what we are going to be doing next week. But the people of Boulder have been wonderful to us, absolutely wonderful, and that's been very heartwarming to us. Mrs. Ramsey, we have so many emotions. We have very dear friends here. We have very dear friends in Atlanta and other parts of the country. We've had a lot of memories here, and as you may imagine, this is an overwhelming bad memory. Patsy, if you could, what would you say to JonBenet right now? I talk to JonBenet and I tell her that I love her and I will be seeing her real soon. It won't be long. Why did you choose this format for an interview? Well, this is a new thing to us, so is there another format? I think this sort of setting, and I think you all are kind of meeting journalists. You are all kind of meeting journalists from your field. I'm not sure what that means. And there haven't been wacky journalists that have been following us around, and they seem to be paramount on having a real picture of us. Then they put somebody in a picture that kind of looks like us, but then makeup, there's no, and then soap opera, yes, and it's time to end was the next comment. Okay, well, I guess it just sort of ended right there. I'll just read this last part here. This is a timeline, I guess. Does it continue from anywhere? Ramsey's friends and relatives say police have questioned them about past child abuse in connection with the murder. A former nanny and others tell the Daily Camera that they don't believe abuse was possible. Meanwhile, John Douglas, a former FBI profiler hired by the Ramsey family, tells Larry King on CNN that his investigation concluded family members did not commit the murder. Well, there's another one with your, John Douglas. He's a pretty famous guy. Pasta J. Elowiski, a friend and business partner of John Ramsey, is arrested on suspicion of threatening 3 men with a baseball bat in an apparent effort to protect his friend from media scrutiny. February 13th, Boulder County District Attorney Alex Hunter threatens to seek the death penalty in JonBenet's murder. He also announces the formation of a panel of advisors, including 2 DNA experts who worked on the O.J. Simpson criminal defense, and he says forensic evidence will be sent for additional testing to the private Cellmark laboratories in Maryland. February 14th, Valentine's Day. A judge orders parts of the autopsy released. At least one medical expert says portions of the document indicate the possibility of sexual abuse prior to JonBenet's death, a conclusion disputed by the girl's pediatrician. Smith and, yes, it's almost like they wanted to say that. The 21st, Smith and Sawyer plead guilty to misdemeanor charges in the photo theft. As part of their sentence, they are required to write letters of apology to the Ramsey family. That's probably something that Rosie and Baldwin should have to do. March 3rd, Patsy Ramsey gives a 3rd handwriting sample. March 4th, the city costs in the Ramsey case near $100,000. March 14th, sources close to the investigation say John Ramsey did not write the ransom note. April 10th through the 15th, police seek the 4th and 5th handwriting sample from Patsy. April 21st, the Ramsey's attorney writes a scathing letter to Hunter after police cancel an interview with their clients. Police respond that FBI advisors didn't approve of the conditions of the interview and release a set of conditions. April 22nd, Boulder County Coroner John Meyer tells the Daily Camera that police inquired about keeping JonBenét's body until the Ramseys agreed to an interview. Meyer said he told police he would release her body because forensic work was done. The 23rd, sources tell the Daily Camera that police released documents to the Ramsey lawyers that detailed the family's behavior on December 26th as part of the conditions for an interview. Let's see. The Ramseys are interviewed on April 30th separately by investigators at the Justice Center. May 1st, the Ramseys talk to a select group of local reporters. Yeah, so we made it to May 2nd, but I think I'm going to call it a night. You know, and then I'll add the ones that I got, and I'll get some more for tomorrow. But tomorrow is our donation night. I sure as hell hope it isn't like some of these nights. Man, whew. Been tough in here. So, I guess what we're going to do now, I'm going to do the old school spin. It's going to be for a, like a mug, you know. Actually, I got to go up here. When was Brown Eyed Girl? I have to add some on here, I think. Although I thought I put them in there. I just put them in different places. Yeah, I put them in there. All right. Oh yeah, I gotta add a couple more though. Thanks on there. So on the Buy Me a Coffee, thanks to Toxic Tink, Linda, Hal, Norm, Brown Eyed Girl, Cindy B, Lisa Valenzuela, then Trisha, Karen and partner, and then Sandy. So there you go. Alright, I gotta put this one in here. I don't know who Karen, is that a different Karen? Probably. That one in there, and then Sandy Shirley. Alright, there you go. So we're gonna do the spin for a, probably like a We Are Freaks mug. But something, right? Alright, this is old, has old numbers in it from a long time ago. So there you go, look at that. All right, you guys ready? All right, got an old school spin coming up. What do you mean, do I have Sandy Shirley? What are you talking about? Yeah, it's on there. Jesus, you guys. All right, I just said her name too. So here we go. See who the winner is. Oh, God, just went over. Brown Eyed Girl and went to Frida 657. You know, it's weird. I think Frida only had one. One, it just shows you, man. Even ones with one. But it skipped over a whole bunch of, almost did it. So there you go, Frida. Send me your address in an email and then I'll ship it over. All right. Should be cool. All right. I guess maybe what I'll also do is I'll donate 5 memberships. Why the hell not, huh? I can pretend that I brought more income in because it looked like it. And here we go. All right, so what do you guys feel? Isn't that kind of just interesting going over it like that? You know, where you just, a lot of it's similar stuff, but some of it's probably stuff that doesn't get repeated very often that we heard, especially like they had 3 parties there. You know, just different elements. What did you guys think? Hey, look at that. We got Kate J, Sherry Zoo, Sue Tonarelli, Sorella Lee, Marini. Okay, now I'm going to go over the super chats. Thank you to Plato, Lori, Cindy J, then Brown Eyed Girl, a blank slate, Wendy Van Rokel, Alien Abduction, Snarky Cinderella, then Bridget Bauman, then David Arnold, and then Jenny and the Summer Day, then Rhea Mazarone, 45 months, Lizzie Robb, then Rachel B, Naomi, Blank Slate gifted a membership, then Toxic Tink did, then Cindy J, then Karen, then Lizzie Rob, Michelle Wood, Papa Squatch, 32 months, a Blank Slate, Frida 657, Annabella Roma, Birdie 284, Norm Scanlon, Crypto Catherine, Plato, Jessica Schubach, and then I gifted 5. All right, you guys. Well, what did you think? Should I keep going? Just keep going through the articles, and then maybe eventually we'll get to, you know, some of the, there's other, you know, more recent stuff out there. Because I think it's better to do that where you get the background and then go watch some of those documentaries, you know. Then it's like, oh yeah, okay. Makes more sense. Anyways, hope you guys found it at least mildly interesting. So I guess we can continue tomorrow after we have the first hour of the show. We do donation night, then I send hopefully a couple $1,000 out tomorrow to probably send 1,000 off to our DNA fund, and then 1,000 off to maybe 500 to 2 different charities again or something. What do you guys think of that? But let's have a good donation night tomorrow. Yeah, I've got a whole bunch that, there was deposition interviews, but they were gone. Plato sent me this thing that had those, so I don't know if they're somewhere else. I did find a YouTube channel that just purely has a ton of, like, a lot of the interviews and stuff on it. Yep. But all right, you guys, thank you all for being here tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. Okay. And I really appreciate you guys' support. I got the buy me a coffees going tonight. That was cool. Anyways, thanks everybody. We'll see you guys later. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there. And if you don't come by the show tomorrow, have a great New Year's Eve and New Year's the next morning. And
yeah, I've been doing this true crime.
It's already
thing
New
for
Year's
quite a
Eve
while
on the
now.
East Coast.
And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, flag rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya.
Yeah, we reached
on a
the goal.
stretcher.
We
If you
reached
try
the
and
goal,
play me like an
as I
old
said.
projector, crime sector is my nectar. Professor Gray is gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pup protector, fool deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector on his pector. With all respect, y'all, just remember I've a temper fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody? Talk to you later.